Okay, Marlena, this is fantastic. This is great. Let me see, attached to my style guide, create a few alterations for different purposes. Okay, everything makes sense. Let's jump over here, take a look at this. Okay, so I think the style guide looks fantastic. I really do. I think that it's a little bit weird in the way that it's set up because I'm guessing it's because of the way that it got rendered out in Word. I, you know, I would prefer if this were done in Illustrator or InDesign and then exported to a PDF. So, if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm sure it'll maintain the consistency of your pages. So, just a couple of comments moving forward in that respect. So, the one thing I'm seeing is this opening page here. You got your title. That's great. And then you have this George Mason Wellness Center brand standards color palette. I mean, this is just kind of like where does color palette? This is kind of sitting right there in a weird way. It's not really pointing to anything. It's not really indicating anything. So it's just kind of sitting there in a weird way. And again, that could be just the way that this can be rendered out in Word. I know it's difficult, terribly difficult to try to design in Word, as Word is a layout program and not a design program. It's actually not even a layout program. It's more of a word processor. So it's really difficult. So if you want to redo this in Illustrator and export to PDF, I'm perfectly fine with that. In your opening page, I would use your logo right here. Take your main logo, your main brand, just put it right here. This is a little confusing here because you're saying visual identity guidelines and you're pointing right to this. So what does this have to do with visual identity guidelines? Nothing. So why don't we replace that with something that has a lot to do with visual identity guidelines, and that's your main logo. Main logo, by the way, is gorgeous. I think you did a fantastic job. This is really well done. It's got a lot of information, but it's not cluttered at all. There's no visual clutter here, so the hierarchy is fantastic, and I just think it's a super successful mark. Great job on that, Marlena. All right, so as I said, I would take the main logo and just introduce that in your main page, okay? Then next page, here's your table of contents. And your table of contents kind of spills off into the second page. That's kind of odd. I would keep the table of contents on one page. Okay, and table of contents, and then you have, you've got this logo up here. But I don't know if I would leave it there because you don't have it on subsequent pages. And then in this page, it's kind of placed over here randomly. And in this page, it's down here. So unless it's going to appear consistently on every page in the presentation, then don't include it in the presentation. Just leave it off those pages. It's better to leave it off than have it jumping around in different locations. Okay, introduction, great job. Our vision, our values, outstanding. Then you have collaboration, that's great too. Okay, and then you jump into brand basics. Configurations. I would say if in this paragraph right here, what you're talking about, you're saying use the brand. Now show what you're talking about. What is the brand? Is it the brand of main logo? Then put the logo up here and show what you're talking about. Don't just talk about it, show what you're talking about. And then it says that are large enough for the brand to appear at least at its minimum size. What is the minimum size? Okay, so I know you get into that over here a little bit, but I think that right now it's a little fragmented. Your presentation is a little fragmented because right now you're talking about using it at minimum size, but you're not giving a minimum size. Okay, and then you definitely want to show what you're talking about in each of these little subsections. Brand basics, wellness center, brand standards, configurations. This is great. Telling where and how to use it. Typographic logo. So you've got this alternate logo, this horizontal logo. You're telling where to use it. You've got a typographic logo, but you're not telling where to use that. So you want to tell to where to use that. You've got the encapsulated logo. You're telling where to use that. So definitely get this down to a presentation point where it makes a lot of sense, because right now it's very fragmented. The main thing is to introduce your George Mason, your main logo. Talk about it. Give the minimum size, the minimum width, the minimum height. And then let me see. You get into the colors here, and we'll talk about that in a second. So you're showing the different versions of the logo. That's fantastic. Don't forget minimum height, minimum width there, here, Okay, now we have here as a main logo, minimum size, 5.36 by 5.36. That's enormous. You're saying that that thing's 5 inches by 5 inches as a minimum size. Well, what about when you want to put it on a business card? It's going to be a lot smaller than that, or even on a letterhead or some other collateral materials. That's definitely not going to be 5 by 5. As a business card, this would be 2 inches wide, 3.5 inches high. So again, you've broken your brand standard right there. So reconsider this right here, saying what the minimum size is. Okay, minimum clear space. This is a great idea to do this. However, that X is too small. What you're saying here is that X right there is you have 1X, you have 1X. Okay, that means you can put things right up to the edge of the logo, and you don't want that. You want to establish a more abundant, clear distance. What I would say is I would probably say something like the size of the G. Okay, so nothing comes within the size of the G, the width and height, or I don't know, figure something out. Maybe it's just going to be something larger than that R right there. It's going to be something a little bit bigger because you don't want things right up on your logo. You want it to have your logo have a nice clear distance so that there's not information packed right up close to the logo. Okay, and then I noticed something over here. You've got right alignment here, and then you got right alignment here, but then over here you jump to left alignment. So that's kind of odd. You want to keep consistent in your presentation there. Good job on your colors, RGB, but where are your CMYK equivalents? Don't forget CMYK is used for print. So you definitely want to give your RGB values and your CMYK values. The Helvetica and Helvetica Neue, you're saying these are the typefaces that you're using, but I want you to show where you're using them. Okay, so in other words, if you're using them in a logo, take the part of the logo where you're using Helvetica or Helvetica Neue and show that right there. So say I'm using Helvetica Neue for this part of the logo and actually show it. I'm showing Helvetica Bold for this part of the logo and actually show it. Okay. Then you have Brand Basics, Wellness Center, Brand Standards, Applications, Business Card. Boy, again, this is tough. This is tough because it seems like that's your main logo, so I'm not real sure. I mean, it's up to you, but I think these look great. But don't forget, Business Card isn't just going to show the logo. It's going to show the address, the contact information, etc. So this would need to be reconfigured, showing that information. And it's not going to be your final design because we're going to get into that next. This is just so you can make accommodations and show that you understand how to create a style guide, which you are right up in there, just a little bit further, a couple of other additions, and I think you'll be fine. But anyways, and then don't forget to show the width and height of the logo, the distance between the edges, top, all four sides, top, bottom, front, left, and right. Same thing over here. And then wherever you place your name and the contact information, also do the same thing there. And there's examples if you go back to that announcement. Right. Ooh, right here. This first announcement here for the Task 1 style guide analysis. If you jump just right over to that very first announcement, I got that. And I got all these examples and stuff. And so make sure you review that. Okay, back to your work. Then we have your letterhead. Now, don't forget the letterhead is 8.5 by 11. Indicate the distance here, the distance here, the distance from the top. And again, that's all shown in that video and that example that I just showed you. These look great. Good job. All right, so you are right in there. I would say, yeah, this is fantastic work. It really is. Logo's gorgeous. Really, really good job. I'm so pleased with the logo. So I would say from here, let's just go ahead and make those final adjustments that I just mentioned, and you're right in there. All right, any questions or comments, let me know. Thank you very much.